What's up, Homer Maniacs, and welcome to a brand new Homer Show brought to you by Daryl Vanover's Greater Owensboro Realty, the number one realtor on the 270 depth chart. If you're going to buy or sell a home, contact Daryl Vanover by phone or text. I'm Stephen A. Turner, joined tonight by Mr. Brandon Ward.
Gorilla style.
And Mr. David Clark.
We are back, man, in the saddle again. The three amigos right on, baby.
Absolutely, man. We got a summer edition show tonight. I know coming forward, we got some football obviously coming down the pipe. We'll have some football previews, the 7-on-7s we'll talk about a little bit tonight. But we're going to kick off the show and talk about predominantly what we spent our summer doing. The Owensboro River Dogs heading into the playoffs. Number one seed, home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And we'll break down the playoff picture for you and talk about some of the players. But right now, we're going to head to the Greater Owensboro Realty Hotline and be joined by the skipper of the River Dogs, also part owner, Vic Evans. Vic, how you doing tonight, man?
Hey, doing really good. Enjoying my night off.
Yeah, you doing radio interviews across the board, man, promoting the product, getting ready for the playoffs. Congratulations to you guys. I know you guys put in the work, and your number one goal was to win the division. You guys successfully did that, and with the big win on Tuesday night.
Yeah, our guys have really bought into everything we've tried to do, and really fought through the grind of 42 games in months, and put together a great regular season, and luckily we were able to get a little help from Muhlenberg County on Tuesday night and be able to clinch and kind of give us a fun night last night where it wasn't all grinding another one out.
Yeah, big game versus Du Bois that we thought maybe it could be for the division crown. You guys were almost wire-to-wire division champs there, right? Du Bois took the lead for one day. Did your team kind of take that personally? Because it felt like Du Bois had all the momentum. They were surging forward. Maybe you guys, even though you guys were still winning, they were just winning every night. But it seemed like at one day you guys fell behind, then you just put the foot on the throat, went right back to work, and won the division. You think you guys took that personally a little bit?
I think so. They talked about that night. They kind of liked the idea that they'd been in first place since day one. And you're right. There was one day there where we got beat and we fell a half a game behind Du Bois. And then we won 7 of our last 9 games and really kind of took off. And we really weren't playing that bad. Just Du Bois had won like 12 out of 13 games. I mean, they were just playing really, really well. And we kind of got a second win and took it a little personal and took care of business for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I feel like this has been a very successful season. Before we talk about the playoffs, really just want to talk about the landscape of the OVL and how you jumped in. I mean, it's ran so smooth. You come to the ballpark, you get the full experience. The Dinger Bat night last night was awesome. I mean, you've had multiple nights like that, the Cole Sturgeon Towel night. I mean, it feels like a big atmosphere when you come to the ballpark at Chautauqua. Talk about that process, because I know we've been talking about this with you for over a year now, the vision, and to see it come to light this year, and I think it's been very successful. Talk about the process a little bit.
Yeah, when I first looked into doing this and teamed up with Shane Shepard with Dinger Bats, and that was something him and I talked about, that we wanted to, and we knew it wouldn't happen overnight, but we wanted to make this kind of a destination place for the OVL, which Owensboro hadn't been, and so we knew that it wasn't going to just do it by itself. There's been a lot of hard work into it. He's come up with some of the great promotions. He really worked hard at getting the Cole Sturgeon Towel night and the Dinger Bat night and the KSR night, and we're hoping to build on this first year. The one thing that we've been really happy with is our crowds. I mean, they've been, and we've got to thank all the fans out there, the guys that listen to you and the guys, that come out to the ballpark, and the kids. And we think that it's, for a first step, it's been very successful. And we've tried to make it a place where it's great family entertainment. You're going to get really good baseball, and there's kind of stuff going on. And, we came up with the idea of, nobody likes to chase foul balls. No team does. And to make it where, to give the kids an incentive to chase the foul balls down and return them back to us, and doing, winning a BP with the dogs contest, and the kids have absolutely loved coming out.
They do love that. I can attest. It's out on the party deck. There's usually 5 to 6 kids chasing every foul ball. I feel like every game I've been to this year. It's great promotion.
Well, what's funny too is our guys actually love it just as much as the kids do. You know, you see our guys interact with the kids, and they take them out in the field and shag with them and throw with them, and then they get in the hitting group and they hit with them and they talk to them and they hang out, and so you know we just really were trying to make it fun. You know, we felt like we would be able to put a good product on the field, but that's never enough. You have to have some other reasons to come out and do things. And so that's what we were really trying to do this year with some of these promotional nights. And one of the reasons we wanted to have, kids 15 under free is there's just not a lot of great things to go do as a family entertainment where it's relatively inexpensive. You can get a family of 5 out there for $10, mom and dad paying to get in, the kids getting free and having a good time. And so in that aspect of it, we've been really happy with where we've come from where we started. And we're hoping to build on that as we go forward.
Yeah, now you jump into the playoffs starting tomorrow night, hosting Muhlenberg right off the bat. Muhlenberg, that's one thing about the OVL that I thought was unique is that everybody makes the playoffs. I feel like Muhlenberg just as dangerous as anyone. You guys come in with home field advantage throughout the playoffs. But talk about the series a little bit with Muhlenberg. I know you've seen them quite a bit this year.
Yeah, we played them 6 times. This regular season we went 5-1 against them. But I was looking back at the scores, and other than like one game, it's all been 1 and 2 and 3 run games. They've all been close games. So that's the thing about the playoffs. Everybody does make it, and so you just throw the records out, and it's about who gets hot and who plays well, and situational hitting becomes so important, and your defense becomes so important. You just can't afford to give up more than 27 outs, and in a 3-game series, anything can happen. Now, I wouldn't trade my team for anybody else's because I really like my team. But we also know that, in a short series like this, you better show up ready to play that night and be on your A game, or you're going to go home early pretty quick.
Yeah, and just talking to you off the air, you look at the league leaders across the board. You guys do have some up there in the mix, but overall, I feel like it's just a team effort. Really, I know the pitching really stands out. Great starting pitching, great back end pitching, and then the middle infield defense. For my money, the infield defense in general, just phenomenal. I don't think there's anybody in the league that's got anything better. I just feel like you guys are the most complete team that I've seen. Talk about them a little bit. Some of the guys out there really just grinded day in and day out for you.
Yeah, the offensive, the league leaders came out for the regular season league leaders, and they give out awards for, I think 12 different categories, 6 offensively and 6 defensively. And if you look at our offensive stats, we don't have anybody up there, like the Blake Jackson, the third baseman from Hoptown that, won the Triple Crown. But we have, 10 to 12 guys that we run out there every day at different times, and they all grind their bats out. And they're we don't have that one big, huge bat that's going to hit 340, hit 15 home runs, but, we hit close to 40 home runs as a team. We've got 12 different guys that hit home runs. And so we're offensively, we're a collection of guys that are all pretty good, and we just find a way. But I would definitely agree with you. I think the league leaders kind of showed that out. Our 2 biggest strengths is our pitching staff and then our defense. Whichever catcher we got back there, we're averaging, we're throwing out around 40% stolen bases. And then, I think you talked about at the middle, when you have an infield of, Nick Sanders, who's kind of our everyday second baseman, and Danny Torres at shortstop, and Kobe Stevens at third base. I mean, those guys are Gold Glove defensive winners. And that's kind of what we've lived on all year, pounding the strike zone or letting our pitching kind of lead the way and then finding a way offensively.
Yeah, those 3 guys in general, I think if they did give out Gold Gloves for the league, you'd have it. Some of the best double play combinations I've seen as a baseball fan, Torres and Sanders, and then of course Stevens has created a few double plays on his own over there at third. So just a nasty infield, and of course your pitching right there at the top. Cam Curry, of course Calvert as well, right, and they're at the top of the league lead. I think if Curry had a few more innings under his belt, I think you'd have 1-2 in ERA in the league as starters, and then Curry, of course, with saves on the backside too. So I think that sets you up pretty well for a short series.
Yeah, talking about the league leaders, offensively we did, Kobe Stevens led the league in stolen bases and runs scored. And then, pitching wise, Cam, Curry and Reese Calvert, they tied for the league lead at 6 wins. We went 12-1, with them 2. And then Calvert won the ERA title. and then unfortunately Ken came up a couple innings short of qualifying for the title, or he would have he had a .92 ERA for the year in his 38 1/3 innings pitched. And it's not too often you find a guy that leads the league in wins and saves.
And he gets done at the plate.
And he does, yeah. He hit 304 for us and was our RBI leader. And then Calvert ended up like one strikeout short. I think Jack Anderson from Du Bois led the league with 53 strikeouts, and Reese struck out 52 in his 42 innings. And the really impressive thing is he struck out 52 guys and he walked 4.
Wow.
I mean, you're hoping for a 2-to-1, maybe 2.5-to-1 ratio, and he's up there at 13-to-1.
That's impressive. That'll turn some heads for sure. And before we get you out of here, man, what do you guys got to do? It's a little bit of a grind. You got hopefully three-game series coming up as you lead into the championship. What do you guys got to do, man? I know it's pretty simple. Just keep doing what you have been, right?
Yeah, I think the thing that gets really magnified in playoff situations in these short series is I think it's two things. One is defensively. You really need to give the team 27 outs. You make a few errors here and there. You run up pitch counts. You give them extra at bats, and you're asking for problems. So I think we have to play really good defense. And then also, now that you're in a short series, everybody's pitching. The staff numbers shrink. Now you're seeing everybody's 1s and 2s and 3s and their best bullpen guys. So I think it's really important for us to have good nights offensively with our situational hitting. When you get men at second and third and less than 2 out, you need to get a ground ball the other way or a fly ball, sac fly to score a run. You cannot leave men in scoring position. So I think those are the two big things for us that we have to do is we have to be really good situational hitters, and I think we have to really play good defense because the one thing Muhlenberg County does do really well is they swing the bat well. And so, when we have to play good defense and can't give them extra outs because you're asking for problems. You got, Javier Lopez Jr. right there in the middle of their lineup. And then there's an O'Neill kid and a Horn kid, 2 left-handed hitters they have that really swing it well. And so, we've got to play good defense, and we have to take the advantage and the opportunities when we get some run-scoring chances to come through and drive those runs in. And, I think it's going to be a good series, and hopefully we can come out on top and move into the Eastern Division Championship Series.
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck. You can hear all the action at home anyway, starting Friday night at 7 o'clock right here on the Homers Radio Network as the River Dogs play host to Muhlenberg in game number 1. Coach, thanks for giving us some time, and we'll see you out at the ballpark tomorrow night. Good luck to you.
Hey, thanks for everything you guys do. I know our parents who live out of town, they speak so highly of the work that you guys have done and everything that you guys done to help us promote this River Dogs. And we're looking forward to making this partnership last a long time.
Hey, we've had a blast this summer. It's been our pleasure. We appreciate it, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
All right, man. See you guys.
Thanks. Coach Vic Evans, head coach of the River Dogs, getting set for the playoffs. And
he said the work that y'all have done, but let's be honest, Brandon Ward's been there every night.
He's the grinder, man.
With the music and
the grinder.
All the I think anybody that listens to the games night in and night out, you get used to the little nuances of our broadcasts. As when somebody, one of our guys get a walk, you hear the Pantera break, respect, walk, or if there's a pop, there it is. I love it.
And the Paul Abdul. I mean, I always look for the Paul Abdul to pop up straight up on the infield. It's been so much fun. I mean, it really has. And even calling the games with – I'm a fan. Calling the games with Ward on the nights that you're not there and vice versa. I wait for those sound clips just as much as people listening to. And I, other night, it was a close game, nip and tuck, and then the Dogs turned a big double play, I believe, in the 8th inning, because I really wanted Curry to get that complete game in the last game that I called the other night versus Paducah. And they turned this big, awesome double play to get out of a jam. And, I'm fist pumping. I'm on the air, and I'm taking it just like a fan. So it's been a fun ride. And like you said, Brandon's been there all season, summer long.
Yeah, it's fun getting to know a team. Like we said last night on the broadcast, we cover all the third region teams here locally, all the high school teams. So to be able to follow a team and be able to cheer for them, because whenever we're normally doing play-by-play, we can't cheer for a team. We try to keep it down the middle, try to do the Bill Alfonso right down the middle. But being able to cheer on a team and get to know them and watch them every day, like I told you, I'm a lifelong Philadelphia Eagles fan, and I know this team of the River Dogs like it's a traditional Philadelphia Eagles team by now.
Start to know players' tendencies, and when they come to bat or in the field, and getting to know some of the guys. I mean, it's been a lot of fun, and I'll miss it when it's gone. Like when there's no games going on, I'm going to what are we doing?
We needed that knowledge last night for the game because players were just popping up in random positions. Clark got the lineup from Coach Evans before the game, and in the first inning, it was totally different. I'm pretty sure the players were just picking where they wanted to play last night.
I think that's exactly what happened. I mean, I think Austin Peterson was supposed to have been somewhere, and he's over there in the completely opposite side of the field. And I know Najee changed positions 100 times before he finally came out late. It was cool because late in the game, I think it was all pitchers on the field for defense, wasn't it?
Basically, the outfield was all pitchers. I think Najee was still in the game and a couple others, but it was pretty much pitchers by the end of the game. And they played it 4 runs in an inning with pitchers coming up to hit that normally don't get the bat.
And they're just looking for the opportunity. They're just looking at that, go out there and have. That's cool though, and to be able to finish the season out with a game like that, and then of course have the dinger bat night. Which we got one sitting here on the table in front of us.
Beautiful, man.
If you didn't bring the little ones out last night and get yourself a Schwarber dinger bat,
Dinger.
That right there, I know the camera can't see this, but you got the Dinger logo right there in the middle, and then on the very end of the bat, like right there, you got Kyle Schwarber's autograph embedded into the bat, and you're looking at Kyle Schwarber, I believe, finished runner-up in the home run derby to Bryce Harper.
He hit more than Harper.
Listen, we were out at the ballpark, and they brought the bats out. Was it Friday night? They brought the bats out. They had Reese Hoskins, dinger bats there in the case, and they had Schwarber's right next to his. And then I'm watching the home run derby, and I see Hoskins knock 20 over, and I'm thinking, Schwarber's not touching 20. And then he hits a walk-off 21 to beat Hoskins to go to the final to take on Bryce Harper, who won it in a walk-off. But Dinger well represented in the home run derby.
What does that do for Dinger bats? I mean, obviously
huge.
An up-and-coming brand in Major League Baseball. There's been kind of, off and on throughout the year, some guys has done some good things. You look at that kind of production in a home run derby and 2 guys doing that much damage with one brand of bat, and I'll guarantee you this. There's going to be a lot of people throughout Major League Baseball that's going to look at the bat they're swinging and think, well,
maybe I'll try that.
Maybe I'll try a dinger.
Yeah.
Dinger.
That was the highest scoring output from anybody in the entire home run derby was that particular round. Hoskins hit 20. The only one to beat him the entire time was Schwarber's 21, and so they both swung dingers. So that was
Dinger.
Talk about the series coming up with Muhlenberg quickly. We saw Muhlenberg a lot this year. Me and Ward saw him, I think, just a handful of times. Muhlenberg always, to me, looked the part. They looked very tough, but they would do things in the field that would just make you scratch your head. Every game, we'd say, well, if Muhlenberg just played a clean game, they'd probably have won the game, but it was the mistakes and the walks, a lot of walks from their pitchers.
Those games against Muhlenberg were the games that we traditionally talk about, the River Dog game plan of winning. They would score more runs and they would have hits on the board.
Sure.
But somehow, like you said, but for errors and free passes, hit by a pitch, whatever. And then once the River Dogs get on base, they're so aggressive. Remember that one game against Muhlenberg? As soon as every runner got on base at first, they were at second the next pitch.
Yeah, I want to say Stevens had 4 stolen bases, 5 in one game.
That really put Muhlenberg behind the 8 ball the entire game.
Yeah, I look for that. I don't think that trend's going to change as we go in the playoffs. And what I really like about the River Dogs, like we talked about with Coach Evans, is the starting pitching. I mean, if you go into a 3-game series and you've got Calvert and Cam Curry right off the bat, plus they have 2 or 3 other guys they can throw out there, in a long relief situation, and then if you want to put Curry on the backside, you could do that as well. I always favor pitching in tournament baseball, and the Dogs got the best pitching in the league.
Got Alan Howe over there at Muhlenberg, though,
That's
so
true.
That should be a pretty good matchup. The OVL skills competition winner at the All-Star game, so that'd be a good matchup right there.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if Evans goes with 2 and then 1 to try to close, or if you start out with 1 and then go 2. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
It's going to be interesting.
After watching the high school tournament, I'm thinking just go 1.
Just go 1. I think Reese Calvert draws.
Coming from a Red Devils fan.
That's right.
I would think Reese Calvert would draw the assignment, and then we'll see. I don't know if they could possibly put Curry in the pen for a couple games, but I look for that. One big thing too, if you're a River Dogs fan, haven't made it out a whole lot. Muhlenberg does bring Javi Lopez to the table. It's a name everybody should know if you know Atlanta Braves baseball. And Javi Lopez, his son, plays for the Muhlenberg Miners, or was it the
Stallions?
Stallions.
Yeah, the Stallions. And
Oddie's not a catcher.
Yeah, it is kind of odd.
'Cause
He can hit the baseball.
We talked about Muhlenberg whenever the Dogs played them. The Dogs stole a ton of bases, and then when you remember the next game, Hunter Baseball was
That's
catching,
right,
and the
Combs,
game plan
yeah.
was no longer that. So definitely, if you have Javi Lopez Jr. back there, I think he probably hit on some runners as well.
It's pretty cool, man. You're starting to see that Atlanta Braves to OVL connection of the last couple of years. I know Greg Maddox's son played last season.
Sure.
Now you got Javi Lopez's son played, so you just whatever.
Who's next?
Yeah, exactly. Who's next? Goldberg from Atlanta. There you go.
It all comes full circle.
It is.
And the Lopez kid is legit. It's funny because we kind of joked about it at the beginning. I said, this name is just not common. Either somebody's a huge Atlanta Braves fan, or it's his son. And we did a little research.
And I Googled
sure
him, and he's
enough.
from Atlanta and looks just like Javi Lopez, the original. So we're like, yeah, that's got to be his son.
Got to be.
Yeah, and how the playoffs will work before we move on from the River Dog segment here. The playoffs will work 3-game series this weekend versus Muhlenberg. Game 3 will be, if necessary, on Sunday. We're going to hope that it's not necessary. I mean, even though we'd love to do River Dogs games, go ahead and close it out in 2.
Games 1 and 3 of every series will be at home at Chautauqua Park since
it.
the River Dogs got the number 1 seed overall. So
then
All playoffs.
1 through 3, as long as the River Dogs are playing, they have the home field advantage. So games 1 and game 3
And it
will
goes-
be
it-
at Chautauqua Park.
Yeah, and it goes first round, then division championship, East Division championship, and if they win that one, then it'd be for the OVL title. So there's 3 rounds of baseball that the River Dogs have to navigate through to win the OVL playoff championship.
And
If they play the Bombers in that matchup, we might have to make the trip out there and see the amount of fans and that field that they have.
And that would be in the East Division championship.
It would be Tuesday
and there's
night.
no
It would be
doubt.
this coming Tuesday
I'm
night.
telling you folks right now, as everybody's watching this, if the River Dogs are in that game, we're going to League Stadium. I've got to get over there and check that one out.
Yeah, it'll be Tuesday night when they'll be over there because they'll play Monday at home if they beat Muhlenberg, and then Tuesday on the road and Wednesday back at home.
For you guys that don't know, League Stadium, it's home of the Rockford Peaches from a league of their own.
That's it. Yeah, and it's a nice place.
Very nice.
For sure, and that would be an interesting series. I will say this: the East Division is better than the West Division in the regular season. Look down, the Henderson Flash finished 21-18. That record would have been good enough in the third place. That would have been good enough to win the West Division where Hoptown won. So
right.
That tells you the third place team in our division is a little better than the entire division on the other side. So
yeah.
They do have the Dogs will have the toughest road, even though they're going to be at home on the other side. So they'll play the winner of Du Bois and Henderson. That series.
Don't count Henderson out.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, that team is not bad at all. Jacob Mulkey, some of those guys that they got on the team.
Good second half. They had
some
a really
of those
good
guys.
second
Yeah,
half.
they're very good.
And we'll keep our eye on that. Of course, the other side, if I had to pick a team out of the West Division, I think the best team I saw, honestly, all year in the West Division was Paducah. I think Paducah will represent out of that division. They have great pitching. Like I said, I always go with pitching, and I think they have the best pitching.
They've seemed to
outside the Dogs, they've got the best.
They've seemed to giving the Dogs the most trouble too.
Yeah, because I think it's because they're starting pitching. I've called 2 Chiefs games, and their starters have gone 7+ in both. So to me, that's really what I look for when it comes to playoff baseball. It's going to be fun. The Dogs have already won the regular season crown, which to me is the grind.
Champs. It's right here.
And we got the ball to prove it.
Got the ball to prove it.
To the
and the team was so kind to sign this. Somebody, obviously there's no reason they wouldn't, but that just shows you what kind of guys, the chemistry, the camaraderie. It just feels like a family atmosphere when you're out there.
And that's the actual game ball they won the OVL with.
Yeah.
That was the end of the game ball right
awesome.
there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool there. You get guys across the board, from all over the country coming together here in Owensboro this summer. It's been a lot of fun, and we got some hometown guys on the team too. Obviously, Jacob Schuler is coming on.
Came in out of the
strong.
bullpen last night. Rick
Vaughn.
Vaughn.
Really?
Yes, he
wow. Nice.
And his defense didn't help him out. That's why they gave up 2 runs. So they switched Hayden Winja from left field over to right because he had missed two fly balls. And they switched him over to right. And the guy for Du Bois County pops it up over to right field, and Winja, you could see, man, he's just like, I got it. He runs over to it, settles underneath it, makes the grab, and literally goes in. So he jumps about 2 feet in the air, throws his hands up, screams, he's yelling, woo, like Ric Flair, chucks the ball at me and Ward, and out of excitement, it was awesome.
That sounds like a good atmosphere.
I think
I missed out.
That game last night
y'all
was
are making
fun.
me sad. Yeah.
Du Bois actually did the hidden ball trick and worked.
Yes.
And retired the final out of an inning on the hidden ball, and the entire Du Bois County team erupted like Stone Cold Steve Austin just came out.
Had the umpire come up and tell me that it was actually completely illegal, but everybody was having so much fun they just let it go.
That's solid. I like that. I saw Apollo win a third region championship on the hidden ball trick.
Well, it honestly felt like an all-star game, the way it was played.
Right.
It was just like, I mean, the Du Bois County dugout was just hooting and hollering
They were
and having
just sitting
fun.
outside of the dugout on the little stoop there the entire game. They weren't even in the dugout.
It was fun. I mean, the crowd was into it.
The crowd was huge, too. The place was packed.
Najee hits a shot over a solid 340 over there out to right field. He comes out, and then all the kids got these little dinger bats that they paid to get in with, and then Najee goes behind the dugout, assumingly to the Porta-John. He never makes it into Porta-John because he gets mobbed, and you can see it at our Facebook page. He gets mobbed by about 10 kids. I think there's a grandma or a mom out there. He might as well have been Barry Bonds at that point.
That's awesome. That's really cool. That's what it's all about.
It was just in between innings. Me and Clark were talking on the game broadcast. We were like, well, I hope he doesn't come up. He doesn't have to bat in this inning because he can get bats the next
So you have time to bat.
After his home run, everybody wanted an autograph.
And that'll be tomorrow night. You can follow along right here on the Homers Radio Network as the Dogs will host Muhlenberg in game number 1 of the OVO playoffs. We'll take a quick commercial break, come back and talk a little bit about the website and the comings and goings of the week that was here in Owensboro on the Homers Radio Network. Welcome back to the Homer Show, and it's time, man. 1 month away from football season, and 7-on-7s are fired up. Spring practice, fall, so whatever. It's spring, summer.
Did we get the DeLorean and we missed it?
I mean, I don't know. It just feels like it was just spring.
It does. It really does.
And here we are. Practices. I know you've been out all around the area, man. And
yeah,
yesterday, man, at Rash Stadium, you sent me this picture of Apollo and OHS going head to head.
That's right.
7-on-7.
Yeah, I put it up on the Twitter feed at Homers Radio on Twitter. If you're not following, shame on you. You're gonna miss stuff like that. But yeah, I got out there to watch it a little bit. Was only able to attend for about 20 minutes. We had obviously called the River Dogs game last night. But I'll say this, man. Apollo's going to be solid. I mean, I don't think that's breaking news by any stretch of the imagination. I noticed that Kobe Clark did a great job. You know, they used Weedman at tight end. He did a good job of working the middle. And I was really impressed with Apollo's backup quarterback, Damian Levinsky. He came in, if, God forbid anything was to happen to Clark, I think he could come in and definitely Apollo wouldn't miss too much.
What's he, a sophomore?
Just a sophomore. He was
Clark's
a kid
senior.
Yeah, Kobe Clark's a senior. He will be the starter, will Kobe Clark. And, Apollo's going to have some weapons. You look out there, you got Jeffrey Johnson that's going to play receiver for them. You got Mariano McKenzie at running back. And, maybe even they might have Gage Hayden playing a little bit of receiver as well. I mean, Apollo's going to be solid. They did a good job. And
they got a good offensive line. You start there, you're going to be solid.
That's what you miss in 7-on-7.
Right, yeah.
And then the defensive backfield. I think Apollo 7-on-7 wise, pretty solid in the sense that you got great DBs and you pretty good passing offense. So I think they should look pretty good in 7-on-7s.
Yeah.
And you flip it over to Owensboro, who in the past maybe 7-on-7s didn't mean
meant nothing.
Anything to the way they were going to run their offense. But now you kind of get a little idea of what maybe the offense, a shell of the offense may look like. And I see you grinning from ear to ear.
As soon as you said
No, just giddy at the sense that they've switched offenses, and that's what we've been waiting for a long time. And they've got a quarterback in Warren and several guys that awfully behind him too that could really.
I got to watch my smiles. The camera's
I
on
know. I don't even want to watch.
Last week I saw you was dancing to the Green Wave song.
I can't watch.
No, Owensboro looked about. Honestly, they did about what I expected them to do in the 7-on-7. They had previously went to the McCracken County 7-on-7. Unfortunately for the Devils, it was a much abbreviated trip to McCracken County. They barely lost to the two-time defending Illinois state champions, lost by like a point or two, and then they did beat a good team out of Tennessee, Hillsdale or something. I forget the name of the school. Solid team out of Tennessee, and then the McCracken 7-on-7 was called due to the heat index.
Yeah,
So
it stinks.
yesterday was, I believe, the first time the Red Devils have actually got to get back and get in that. I know Apollo had done some 7-on-7s. I believe at Central Hardin, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Owensboro, the first thing that obviously jumps out with Owensboro's team speed. I think the skill positions, the linebackers, and the secondary. The one thing that we'll talk about it as we get into team previews, the defensive backs for Owensboro are going to be much bigger, much bigger than they have been in the past.
And I think you're going to see a lot of offense of guys on one side and the defensive guys on the other. You're
Completely
not going to see
different.
a lot of both ways. And
You might not see any.
You may not see any. You may see. You may have enough depth on both sides that you're going to have rotations on both sides. I mean,
You will, yeah.
And
There's
that's
gonna-
impressive. You don't see that in high school.
There's going to be
Not here anyway.
I believe there's going to be some of that, but again, Owensboro, you can. And one thing I'll say on the other side of it, and Coach Fallon would even agree with this, is that they're still building that chemistry.
Sure.
You see some things that I think in a little bit, couple weeks, maybe a month, 2, will be routine. But maybe they miss on it right now because obviously Will Warren has still got to get used to his receivers. He's got to get used to how guys get in and out of their breaks and the timing deals. And but obviously Red Devil Nation, I think, was pleased with what they saw.
I can't.
And then
I just interrupt you. I can't
No.
wait to see the Warren and Hayden connect. I thought that Tyron Hayden. I thought his size and his ability at wide receiver. And that's not taking a shot at any kid that played quarterback for him before. But now with Will Warren in there, I think the Hayden kid, just looking at his skill set, is in line for maybe a huge breakout season.
yeah, there's a couple more that we'll highlight when we get to the team previews. But I think it won't just be. Obviously Hayden is going to have a big year.
I just love his size.
There's
red
a-
zone target just jumps out at you.
Just to whet you guys' appetite. There's a couple more kids we're going to talk about over the next couple of weeks that I think could even have as big or if not bigger year than Hayden. But moving over to Catholic. They competed against Henderson, Madisonville, and Christian County in a 7-on-7. Just won all 3 of them.
Oh, yeah, they won it all. That's impressive. Nice start for brand new coaching staff over there, and think about like 7-on-7. Obviously, I think it suits Catholic, and it always has.
It always has. Yeah.
I think that Catholic going into the season, I think their big question mark is going to be the line. So the line play on both sides, so you don't get that in 7-on-7. So I think. That's not taking a shot by any stretch of imagination. We want to win everything you suit up for. And so to beat those 3 teams obviously shows their strength. They're going to be good at the skill positions.
I think Catholic will be fine this year as long, I think don't deviate from what has been successful completely. Now, you can add some more run principles in there, but I think Coach Morris realizes that. And as far as Davis County goes, I got to be honest, I'm going to get on the Greater Owensboro Realty hotline after the show because I haven't heard much out of Davis County, but you figure what I think's cool about 7-on-7 season. You look at the 4 city teams, and then you look over across the river at South Spencer. John Edge is going to South Spencer Rebel of the Week. Is going to be brought to you both by Chris Harney from Keller Williams over there in Southern Indiana this year. So we got a South Spencer Player of the Week coming for the first time in HRN history. But teams like South Spencer, and for the first time that I can remember, all 4 city teams will be airing it out.
Man, the ball is starting to roll. It's getting so close. You can smell the fall air rolling in almost, and that start rolling out player sponsors. It's getting close.
Yeah,
so I'm excited.
Yeah,
this football season, easily for me. I've said this all along since we've started the show, even before we started the show. I've never really bought into high school football because normally the reason why I say that is because I can normally sit down and I can tell you exactly what's going to happen in the season, and usually it plays out pretty much just like that. It's pretty predictable, and it is what it is. This last season was unbelievable.
It was great.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And this season is just taking it to the next level because all 4 city teams, number one, this is the best talent around the city. All 4 teams they've had since probably I was in high school.
1996 was the last year that was this balanced. And that's when
tells
Apollo had Michael Hanley. Unfortunately, Owensboro had me. And Davis County had John Wright, Michael Vining,
Sure.
those guys that was actually had advanced the furthest in Davis County history up until last year's team. And then obviously what Catholic just happened to go to
Dickens
state.
and all those
Chad
guys,
Dickens,
yeah.
Jason O'Brien, Billy Borman. I was going to say John Mark Borman, Billy Borman. That year and this year, I think, is going to be pretty comparable. And
Yeah.
that's a long gap. That's over 20 years in between that kind of balance.
And listen, we lost all 4 Border Bowl games last year.
Can't happen again.
It's not happening this year. I'll just tell you right now, it's not happening.
Okay.
I say at least 50% is coming home to us on the road this year, and I may take 3 of 4.
Oh!
I may take 3 of 4.
I was a lot more confident in our teams before he said that.
Man, I'm riding high going into the season.
The kiss of death.
Maybe it'll change. I mean, of course, you never know what you're going to get. You got new coaching staffs here and there, but I think the Owensboro area is set. And then there's some teams outside Owensboro, like Hancock, who I think is just ready to roll right in. Coach Eubanks, the momentum they built
absolutely.
and roll on. Of course, Ohio County, I feel like Ganaway's got a solid base there. Of course, losing Heath Simmons, you kind of wonder if it's going to step back. But across the board, I think they could be better. Across the board, obviously, you lose a Heath Simmons, it's going to be tough.
I can't wait to get over to Hartford. Obviously, we're really close with Coach Ganaway and some of the players over the years. Think of Big Bulldozer. We love those guys over there in Hartford, and it just warms my heart to announce here on the Homers Radio Network that just about 2 hours for the show,
ink's not even dry.
The ink's not even dry on the contract. We have secured a sponsorship from Matthew Canty, the general manager of Dairy Queen in Beaver Dam, Kentucky, is going to be the Player of the Week sponsor for the Ohio County Eagles. Super stoked about it.
You talk about the bulldozer. We actually thought he graduated last year with the size and the speed and the power that he is and he was in his sophomore year. He's coming back, so probably going to be quite a few Player of the Week awards. Give it to the bulldozer.
He's a man. He's a GAM, baby, grown man. You can figure out the A part of it.
Talking about GAMs, how about McLean County? They've got like 30-plus seniors on the team.
Yes.
Whenever I look at teams that I think is going to be good, it's whenever they have a bunch of seniors. And the way that McLean County plays with the wing, that's perfect for guys that just can go out there and overpower people. And whenever you got that amount of seniors, that's a good sign for you.
I'm stoked.
You look at that class there. That what am I trying to say? The district. Obviously, Catholic is always going to be the team to beat. But then you immediately, just like last year, you immediately start thinking, what's that other team is going to host? Of course, last year Hancock ended up hosting and winning a playoff game. We saw how important that was.
Yeah.
But you immediately start thinking McLean and Hancock, and you start thinking about that big matchup, and I'm excited.
And I think those programs are excited, too, to see, can we close the gap on Catholic this year? And maybe they can, and maybe they can't. That's the beauty of the preseason, man. We don't know, and we're just anticipating and speculating.
This hasn't been there.
It hasn't, man.
Outside of even last year, I didn't. But prior to that, it felt like, what was the main topic as we talked about football?
Owensboro and
Owensboro Catholic.
Yeah.
And everybody else was like, well, what's going to happen here? You just look at the phenomenal jobs being done by coaches around our area. I mean, Coach Wagner, Coach Eubanks, Coach Brannon. It changed the culture down in Muhlenberg County. I mean, I feel like the whole thing, it's changed around our area just within the past couple of years.
You talk about how it was always Owensboro or Catholic, and just look behind us, the city county champs right there, Davis County.
It's got the crown on the helmet, man. They are the champs, baby. And I'm just stoked, man. I middle school football, I know my kid plays middle school football, and they're going strong right now. They got a 7-on-7 tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. of all times. I'm going to have to get up early.
Got to beat the heat and the storms that are coming in.
Yeah, no doubt. And I just love football season, man. I love the energy, the excitement that it brings to all the communities. The small communities really is what Friday nights are just so special in Hallsville. Friday nights are special in Hartford and in Calhoun, because those communities literally shut down on Friday night.
There's nothing like it. I mean, I think
Hartford brings out the pyro.
Oh man!
I think of the bowl at Paulson Stadium, where everybody kind of got their trucks backed up and everybody's watching, the games right there down in the bowl, and there's just something special about Friday nights. It really is.
It is.
And I have to say, doing the homers has brought the football season just closer to the heart.
And I'm really excited about adding South Spencer onto our coverage this year.
Yeah,
I mean, we're going to talk about them a lot. Yeah, for one thing, it's an expansion into Southern Indiana. It wouldn't be possible without the support of Chris Harney and Keller Williams over there in Southern Indiana. Completely different selling job than what you get from Daryl Vanover. If you need a house in Kentucky,
that's it.
You're calling Daryl Vanover, Greater Owensboro, really, no questions asked. Number one realtor on the 270 depth chart. But we went over to the 812.
We talked about this all.
realtor, the best realtor in the A1
A12 depth chart.
And Chris Harney's going to get it done for you if you got to go across the river.
That's exactly right. It's like the AL and the NL, in baseball.
When I went over there to cover South Spencer when they played Evansville North back in June, you can find that at homersradio.com. You scroll down. It's probably on page 3 or 4 by now. We've been putting up so much stuff. But I was talking to some of the fans from South Spencer that were like, oh, yeah, we know about you guys. Thanks for coming. Well, first of all, why are you here? Why are you here? And second of all, thanks for coming. And these people, though, you wouldn't believe that how much people love football in Rockport. But they've been football starved for so long now because South Spencer just hasn't been able to get past that kind of middle of the road type of deal over there in the Southern Indiana Pocket Athletic. I forgot, and that's another thing I'm going to have to learn. Which
we got to learn. I don't even know what's going on.
Well, they have conferences.
Scenarios.
There's SIAC, which is the
Sure.
Evansville City teams. There's the Pocket Athletic, and then there's something else. But we're going to learn those. We're going to get some Indiana knowledge. But the fans over
call
there,
Randall Parmley.
Randall Parmley. We'll get Randall Parmley on next week. How about that? Look, we already given you a little preview.
Sounds like a good idea.
I just think it's cool though that my point is that long-winded is that South Spencer fans have a reason to be optimistic, and that reason's John Edge.
Oh, yeah.
We've been singing the praises of John Edge. I'll share a story real quick, a quick story.
He's our 2-time Coach of the Year for a reason.
I mean, we literally named him Jigsaw. I think Ward named him Jigsaw because if you change the question or what was it, Ward? What's the
when you have the answers, he changes the question.
There it is. Yes, and that was like George Bush saying, "Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, won't get fooled again." But they got a ball coach now. And the optimism over there is through the roof. I would like to go around and just interview different parents and fans and get their perspective on South Spencer football. From way I understand and way I've been told is that their practices and their 7-on-7s and their inter squad where they practice together. What do you call those?
Inter squad scrimmage.
No, when the teams in the NFL practice together, what do they call
like
those?
OTA,
OTAs, training camp deals. They have been heavily attended by the fans, so I just can't wait to see it. Man, it took a long time to just say that. I mean, that's not good radio. Don't do that.
We would just edit it out. Oh, we're live. We can't edit it out. There's no editing here. But man, is there any 7-on-7s that you're aware of that the fans? I know the KWC we talked about off the air.
Yeah,
that's a shame because I've been out the last 3 years, I believe.
Unfortunately, there was going to be no KWC 7-on-7 this year.
Yeah, it stinks.
That's a big bummer because the weather finally cooled off for once. And usually it gets canceled due to heat index. Well, there's no danger of a heat index this weekend, but the field at KWC is obviously it's been complete. If you've seen a picture online, it's been completely tore up, and they're putting down brand spanking new field turf over there at KWC.
I just think that this time next year we'll have a Homer 7-on-7 under our belt. That's one of my biggest regrets of the summer, is I've just been too busy to take it in. Is I want to have a 7-on-7. I want to get everybody involved, and that we can organize it. We can put it because basically I want to see it.
Yeah.
One of the greatest wrestling promoters that I've known, Ian Rotten, used to say, I booked the match because I wanted to see it, and it ended up being, huge. Obviously, CM Punk and Austin Aries. You can go to their YouTube page and check that out. Be sure and subscribe while you're over there. Oh
yeah, you have to subscribe. But speaking of Kentucky Wesleyan,
we can't jump off the Wesleyan topic. Obviously, without talking about Coach Holtzclaw, who resigned
abruptly.
It's pure speculation on our part. I don't know if what exactly happened, but I know the timing is a little bit odd as we roll towards the season. Torian Smith will be the interim head coach throughout the entire season.
I felt just by reading, Coach Holtzclaw's release letter or his bye letter, that there was some frustration. There's some underlying frustration there. I'm not going to speculate on what he got or did or didn't get, but I know that the man left frustrated, and you can just sense that in his letter, and it's a shame because that's a man that's given so much of his time. You're not making a lot of money at that level. He did it because he is a Kentucky Wesleyan alum himself, and he wanted to see the program grow. And I'm not pointing fingers at anybody by any stretch of the imagination. I just hate it that it had to end like that.
Sure, out of the blue. I mean, not
many.
many.
It's 15 years that he was there.
Not many guys, can say they coached an NFL player, at that level. I mean, not just an NFL player, but an impact player like Keelan Cole that we had, we're fortunate to get to call his senior year at KWC, and just doing that one year. I know before we covered Kentucky Wesleyan. I'm not going to lie to you. I would say, it's Kentucky Wesleyan football. It's just not going anywhere, and that's just a statement, an ignorant statement, really, from the outside. And then when we dove into it and had Coach Holtzclaw on with us week in and week out and got to interact with him, and he poured his heart and his soul into it. And you can only do so much with what you have. Non-scholarship and not getting – and that's not a shot at the administration, but just not really, honestly, they had never had support from the administration before. And I think it kind of came back to that. I think maybe he thought there was going to be more support coming in than there was, and I think eventually he just tired of it. And did I really want to go through this again, And I think it took its toll on him. We could see it.
Remember the time he pointed at the cop and said, "Hey, see that cop? He's standing there because parents want to kill me."
Right, and the things like that he has to deal with. It's mind blowing, and do you really want to go through that again? Because he would get so you got to believe. So he would believe, and then they would just get knocked down time in and time out. And you can only do that for so long, and we wish him the best.
A lot of coaches at that level don't last that long.
No.
They can't, In Kentucky Wesleyan, and I'll always be a KWC fan, in all sports. I root them on. It's just hard for a school of that size with the limited resources, being a private school, to properly fund a football program. And I'm not the athletic director. I don't know what the answer is. Obviously corporate fundraising and an alumni base, but you're talking about a school that's going through capital things right now where they're trying to raise money. You go to their website, you can see that they're trying to raise money. You can only tap out people so much before their pockets are tapped out. So
one of the things that hurts them so bad is they always have to play early on Saturdays when youth sports going on, because I guess they don't want to have to spend the money to put a team that's coming in to play them. I guess that team can't afford to stay overnight or whatever and play later in the night. But they had one later game, and there was an extra couple hundred people there. And you think that's you think of how many more tickets sold, and you add that over time, I think that would really help. But having to play that early on a Saturday, that really hurts them bringing in money to the program through the gate.
I think they started the trend in direction, too, of bringing in more local kids. I can't wait to see what Peyton Peters does there.
Oh, he's going to kill it.
The bright kid from Mayfield transfers.
He transferred actually from Murray State. He was at Murray State.
That's big time. You look at this is. I'm just spitballing here, but just looking at it on paper, that offense, they got the quarterback returning. You got Peters. You got a couple weapons on the outside. You got the bright kid at running back. A better offensive line. There's a chance for Wesleyan to be improved. Now, I would be lying if I didn't say that this was a setback, and that's nothing against Torian Smith, but you lose your head coach a month before the season is about to kick up, and it's always going to be a setback. It's going to be a transition period, but I think on paper this team has a chance.
Could be something that rallies the team too. They might rally around it, thinking
he's
everybody thinks we're gonna go there and not win a game because our coach is slow. It might be a rallying point.
To do like Mississippi State did against Louisville last year in football, where the Dan Mullen went to Florida and he's not coaching in a bowl game. All he did is go out and beat Lamar Jackson. So that could be Kentucky Wesleyan's rallying crowd this year to say, hey, Coach is not here. Let's go out and do this for him, and if not for him, let's do it for us. We're still here.
Absolutely. I look forward to seeing how it plays out. And like I say, Smith is a good person to step into that role. He knows the guys, he knows the system, and he's a motivator.
And he was at the 7-on-7 the other day. Did a little
scouting.
Did a little peeping out over there. And I don't know if I should have said that if he was there. Was he supposed to be there? And maybe it wasn't Torian Smith. I think I was talking to some other guy.
Yeah.
But don't be surprised if we have a sit down interview with Torian Smith for too long.
There you go.
Which may or may not have been there.
On homersradio.com.
That's right.
Where you need to go to get all your content. We say it every week. We haven't said it tonight, so be sure and make homersradio.com a destination.
It's where we get the content for this show. It's what Stephen A. Turner right now is scrolling through homersradio.com.
See, because I can't remember.
Before we get out of the football talk, though, we got to talk about our guys, the Spartans.
Yes. Man, I tell you, it's been a great time to broadcast those games.
And they have potential to roll right into the playoffs. And they runners-up last year in the league. And they're licking their chops to take home the title this year.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this team, we've called a lot of home games, and it's easy for us to sit there and say, well, they're this, and that. But if you look at their personnel, they got guys that didn't even play high school football in the city. They'll have a guy like Kentrell Seabrook that come from South Carolina, or Jordan Cook that came over from Southern Illinois. There's some quality, size, speed, and all of it. They got two quarterbacks that if either one of them's in the game, and talking about Evan Harvey and Kane Chambers, they both are two completely different quarterbacks.
Might be the two best quarterbacks in the entire league.
Sure.
They're both on the same roster.
They're
squad.
better than any other quarterback
that
I've seen. Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, it's a good time to be a Spartans fan.
Won their last game 66-0.
Oh man! And first of all, you would think like, oh God, how bad is it? This team showed up with 10 players and still took on the challenge and finished the game.
Drove 4 hours to do that, so got to give them a shout out. The Northern Kentucky Colts, the 10 that did show up, because they went out there and played the entire game, made some plays against a very nasty Spartans defense as well.
And there were some hits in that game. I would have folded the tent, went back to Cincinnati.
In that game, hearing those hits.
Yeah.
Man, it's Spartans football. You can check it out right here on the Homers Radio Network. Follow
Yeah,
along.
it's on YouTube. The highlights of that game's on YouTube. You can see all the big plays right there.
And usually by the time they switch field sides in the second half, they're winning by so much the clock's running, so we only get about 5 minutes to get footage. And we actually got footage this time. They switched in front of us, so we got good footage.
The ongoing joke is, because I try to get highlights for the website and the YouTube channel, is that they're literally always on the other end of the field, because we're at about the 25, 30-yard line of the left side of the field. And also kudos to the community. They've done a good job of coming out and to buying tickets, and they're buying concession stand food. And man, I know Randall Turner, who's kind of like he plays and he also operates the team and the franchise. He's been really pleased with the turnout and how it's gone so far.
Yeah, I mean that's really what drives the bus at the end of the day, and that's what I've noticed with the River Dogs and the Spartans, is the community's really rallied behind them both, and they both done a really good job. I feel like even with the Spartans, bringing things out, other than the game, that way it just kind of drives, a lot of things to do when you're at the game besides just watch it. So, and that's really a big factor.
You can't be bored watching football, man.
For me, I could just go to a game. But
Yeah.
if you got kids, and if you ever brought kids to the ballpark or to a game, it's nice to have some things there for them to do as well, like chase foul balls or go buy a snow cone. Yeah.
That's right.
And even I'm a sucker for some snow cones every once in a while. But check out Spartans right here on the Homers Radio Network. Go to our YouTube page, subscribe to the YouTube page. Today was the first one. We're doing a YouTube giveaway every Friday, every Thursday. You go there, and Dave will have a question for you. You answer the question, we'll give you a prize.
That's it.
That's simple.
It's that simple, man.
Just subscribe to the YouTube. We need subscribers.
We're going to talk about that, the trivia?
Yeah.
It's what's happening right now. If you go to Stephen Brandon Clark on Facebook, there's a link to it. You can go to Homers Radio on YouTube, and there's a video. It says HRN Thursday trivia, and it's got the date on it. Today is 7/19/18, right? And all I do is I get on there and I simply ask a question. And all you have to do to win that prize, and this week it's a free Blizzard from Dairy Queen, Highway 231, Beaver Dam locations. I ask a question. All you have to do is click the subscribe button and then answer the question in the comment section. We got a couple answers on there already.
And there you go.
And it's not first come, first serve. It's everybody that has the correct answer will be eligible, and then we'll randomly draw one. So it's not the first person to get the answer right. So make sure you keep answering just because somebody already has the answer up there that you think is right.
Yeah, and again, I'm not going to say whether the answers on there are right or not, but don't let that stop you from answering, because you can answer at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you got just as good of a chance to win as the person that answered first, which I think was was it Schuler or Sumner? One of them answered first.
It was Schuler.
Was it Schuler? Yeah, it was Schuler.
Bernie's Barbecue special.
That's right.
First, right off the bat. And, I think it's a great thing. And, of course, trying to drive our subscribers on the YouTube page, which I think will take care of itself come football season with the video and stuff we got working on.
And I'll tell you, if you love free stuff, man, you got to be on there, because
Who doesn't love free stuff?
We got a couple more Blizzards to give away after this, and we also got 2 $25 gift cards to Escape Today here in Owensboro over there on Emory Drive, and we're going to give that away here in the near future after we get these Blizzards given away. But again, free stuff, man. Hey, we got the hookup. Holla if you hear me.
And before we completely get off the website topic, if you're a local football fan, go to homersradio.com and check out the Keyshawn Walker interview. Phenomenal stuff. I'm pumped. When I found out Keyshawn was going to WKU, Loved it. I think it's a great connection. It's a guy that I thought was under-recruited out of high school, and for the life of me, I couldn't understand why a Division I football program didn't have this kid.
And he
on
went to the
roster.
camps. I mean, he went to all the big camps. He even went to Alabama.
This is a perfect example of a kid that is under-recruited. I mean, it's not a situation where people say, "Oh, D1, that kid's D1," and he's not. I mean, because you hear that all the time. All the time. And we don't want to try to do that out here on the show. Keyshawn was D1. He had the speed, he had the size, he had the ability. He made big-time plays throughout his career versus top-level competition.
I mean, what was that Hail Mary thing that just maybe kind of happened?
Yeah, well, I'm talking more about DB.
Yeah,
he was a part of that.
Yeah, I mean, just happened to get on Sports Center Top 10.
Yeah. So,
which was still better than LeBron James's dunk that night.
It was.
Still bitter about that.
I've seen some on there since then that are just.
I've seen some number ones that, like, the Hail Mary pass just.
It should have been one.
I mean, it should have been one. Let's be realistic. It should have been one.
Unbelievable. But head over there and check it out. It's a phenomenal article. Also, big congratulations to brand new girls coach Kevin Husk at Hancock County High School. Article up about that as well. Dave Clark is slaying it.
It's my dude, man.
On HomersRadio.com.
Yeah, we're Kevin Husk, known him for a long time. Hancock County is getting a quality man, and you can find out there. He talks a lot about his attachment. He's a Hancock County native, and he's going to talk about what he's going to bring to the Hancock County girls basketball program. You can find that at HomersRadio.com.
It's funny whenever I come to do the show, and I'm thinking, man, we got about 45 minutes of material tonight, and we're already at an hour and one. We still got
we're at an hour.
The 3-point stance coming up right now. Yeah, hour and one.
It's insane.
I just like to talk. I don't get to talk to you guys, but I've been working my tail off at the hospital.
This is when we get to hang out.
It's like our hangout time.
Our social hour.
It sure is.
We just talked about it. We got a trivia contest going on YouTube, and the winner gets a Blizzard for free. What's the best Blizzard flavor?
Oh, hands down, it's the S'mores Blizzard. I'm hooked on that, like in a bad way. Like, I think I could probably get like gout if I don't. If I'm telling you, man.
The way he just said gout, I could probably get gout. I mean, if I don't stop eating.
Like, you see this? Look, guys, I'm drinking a bottled water. People watching on YouTube can see it right now, and this is because of those S'mores Blizzards. Like, I'm having to chase those S'mores Blizzards with this.
Fight off gout.
I'm trying to fight off gout with this water right now.
My go-to is chocolate ice cream Oreo. I mean, Oreo with chocolate ice cream. That's what I always get.
Man, that's a lot of chocolate right there.
A lot
chocolate.
I roll with it.
My wife, Teresa, beautiful wife, Teresa, gets the triple chocolate extreme or something like that. I can take one bite of that and I'm done. Like, I'm just shut the house down. I can't do another bite. It's too rich.
I will say they bring through some that, like, the Blizzard of the month. You don't see them very often, like the Thin Mint Blizzards, stuff. And I'm always trying those out. But
I have got
Oreos to go to.
I have got my wife hooked on the S'mores Blizzard though. She's all about that S'mores Blizzard.
The S'mores is good. I'm not gonna lie. What about you, Ward? You got any favorite?
Like the cookie dough Blizzard.
Oh, a classic.
That's my daughter's favorite.
Yeah,
it's Maddie's favorite.
I always wondered. I always wondered if you like take the cookie doughs out and like you suck on them until you get to the cookie doughs and you put them on a tray and try to bake them. Would it bake into little cookies? I asked my wife that. She's like, well, of course they wouldn't bake into cookies. What are you being so stupid for? And I'm like, that's a legitimate question. Like,
so she had the same reaction me and Steve had.
You got me thinking now.
Yeah, would it?
No.
I'm going to text Matthew Canty, our new
we'll find out.
Dairy Queen Ohio County Player of the Week. Maybe he knows.
We'll put it on the YouTube.
Put it on YouTube. Clark can try
with Clark.
Hey, you might have just got onto something.
That might work.
Yeah.
Moving on to question number 2 now, episode 2 of season 2 of the Perfect 10 podcast. Just there this past week, it was the top 10 rappers of all time. Who do you think is the number 1 rapper of all time?
Wow, so many good candidates. There's you got to break it down into different lines of thinking with rapping. There's the entertainment value. There's the beats. Obviously you think of beats, you think Dr. Dre, and not just the headphones, but the actual. If you listen to The Chronic back in the day, or you listen to Dre 2000 when he came back, he always had like club beats on there on the album or the CD, whatever you call them nowadays. I don't know what you call them nowadays. You got to take in all those factors into consideration. Steve, you got one?
Dre is my number 1. I think he's my number 1 most influential. When I think rap, I think Dr. Dre. But my favorite is Tupac. So I'm West Coast all the way.
I tell you, I'm torn here.
It's
I'm
a divided household. I'll say this because my wife's a Biggie fan. She's East Coast. I'm West Coast.
Got the
Oh,
East
okay.
Coast,
Got
West
the
Coast
East Coast,
beef.
West Coast trying to bring it together, but it's
You got to come together, one
Yeah.
love in the house. But
I'll tell you this. I mean, I'm more old school. Obviously, the new stuff, I just can't. I can't
doesn't,
do it,
yeah.
man. I can't. Eminem's about as new as it gets for me, and even his newer stuff just not.
yeah, see, that's where I have a hard time. Like immediately, my first thought is Eminem. Like, because I was with Eminem.
As far as lyricist goes, I don't know. There's a whole lot better than Eminem.
I was with Eminem from day number one. But if you look at stuff that had substance and meant something, I think I'd have to go Tupac. I really do. I think that he told the story that, quite frankly, white people got to understand the life that some of these folks were living in the inner cities because of Tupac's lyrics and his storytelling. He wasn't, Tupac would have a song that talked about things, the girls and the booze and the drugs and whatnot.
Brendan's got a baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Other people's wives.
But he also told stories. Tupac gave us a glimpse into a life that we had no idea. We couldn't even begin to relate to.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good answer. Wow, you went really deep with that answer.
Got introspective on that one.
Well, because lyrics were important.
they were.
I feel like
they meant something back
Yeah.
then. They don't really.
I don't know what they're saying
I don't know.
nowadays. I can't even make sense of
doesn't
what
even
they're
matter,
saying. Diamond.
I think the number one rapper of all time, Snoop Dogg, when you look at an overall career of what he done, you talk about how you think Dr. Dre is the number one rapper. I think Dr. Dre's the number one producer, and you think about Dr. Dre's most famous and best tracks, it's Snoop rapping over those tracks. Whenever The Chronic came out, the two songs that were the biggest were the two that featured Snoop. Then it was a Dr. Dre album, but Snoop was the standout rapper of that one, and that was 27 years ago, and he's still putting out music. He's still relevant. He still gets on. We might not like the new rappers of the day. He's still on those top 10 singles of those new rappers. He's got a show with Martha Stewart. He's got a show on TBS. I don't think there's anybody close to what he done when you looked at his actual 26-plus year career, because Tupac, he was only really around for 5 years.
That's the part.
I think that's what makes it even bigger.
It does. Anytime you die, it makes it bigger.
It's like Kurt Cobain to the rock side.
Kurt Cobain, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix.
He hasn't ran
Doors.
his course, and you gotten tired of it. You look at him more as a legend than you do as maybe somebody who's kind of tired.
Because you always think, what else could he have given us? Like your mind starts to wonder.
Yeah. And then you look at a guy like Eminem, like you were talking about. If he only put out 3 albums and then stopped, he may be the number one rapper, because those albums were absolutely perfect albums. Then everything he's put out since then has been garbage. Yeah. So you look at the garbage and add it in with the first 3. Whenever the guy like Tupac or Kurt Cobain or anybody like that, you just have those first 3 albums to look at.
Yeah, I think that pretty much, and like I say with Dre, it was more of a just overall contribution to rap, I guess, is what I was thinking as far as rapper, like lyricist wise.
Was Tupac 27 when he died?
Yes.
Was he in the 27 club? That's insane, man.
Yeah.
That's some spook, dude. Look at that, dude. Like, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about that. That's insane. I know there's a lot of legends that passed away at that age, and just how that's just a random thing, man. Like, how do you get that many legends and historically music?
Kind of makes me feel like an ultimate failure. I'm 38 years old. At 27.
I had a question to add to this 3-point stance. Ward's obviously, you're a Juggalo, big ICP fan. I consider them rap. Where does that fall with you, like with ICP and the Juggalo type music?
I don't really consider ICP rap. They're more of a horror movie on CD.
Yeah.
Whenever I think
like a show,
they pretty much
more of an entertainment value than it is a rap, I guess.
If you want to go musician-wise from that era of music, it'd be Tech 9, who was actually number 9 on the top 10 rappers list. That guy right there, he's the rapper today putting out the best music still. He's 45, so he's not a new guy, but he still puts out new music. He's the best rapper right now. He's the number 1 independent rapper in the world and has been for the last 10 years.
Yeah, we didn't getting hyped up on 96. My kids make me listen to 96 in the car, and so we're listening to 96, and they're hyping up the Tech 9 show in Evansville. I'm like, this is blowing my mind a little bit right now.
We didn't say Tekashi 60, whatever that guy with the.
I don't even know.
We're talking about Tech 9.
That's right. Don't get it twisted. Not to be confused with Twisted.
Yeah. Good Juggalo band there.
Moving on to number 3 now. What's your favorite memory from the 2018 Riverdog regular season? I'll I'll go ahead with mine while y'all think of it. My favorite was the last night's game. It was just a fun game to watch, and I think even though it went against the River Dogs, we talked about it earlier, I think it was the hidden ball trick, just because of the reaction from both teams. Even the River Dogs were walking off. The River Dog players were making fun of the player that it worked on. The River Dog players that were walking to the bullpen were joking with us about it as they walked out. It was just the last game last night was fun.
It was. I'll go as far. I'll add to that, Ward. The most fun game I've ever called. Like, that I've called. I mean, I'm not talking about attended or anything. That I've actually broadcasted. I don't think I've ever had that much fun on the mic. But my number one favorite moment of the River Dog season was just watching Sid Kumar hit it on the top of Chautauqua Hill. I've never seen it done. I mean, I've heard of people doing it before.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard of the legends of the past of, this and that. I've never, with my own eyes, seen a ball hit and bounce. I'm talking like hit on the top. I'm not talking like hit like, 3/4 of the way up and maybe roll up a little bit or something like that. Like it hit where the concrete is, where that tower is, on the top and took a big bounce.
Yeah, that would have been out of Major League ballparks nationwide.
It was a 500-foot shot.
And he hit a foul ball on a game that I called, which a lot of the Vic even said he thought it was fair down the line. And he hammered it. I mean, it's way back there past the parking lot, back there by where they sled down the hill, way back there.
Hit it up to old Ralph Main's old house.
Absolutely. Ralph Main shout out.
That's right. Ralph Main had about 6 Rottweilers up there at all times. Biggest Rottweiler I ever seen at Ralph Main's house. His name was Zeus. This dog had muscles on top of muscles. I don't even know.
Kind of sounds like the Sandlot.
Oh my God, dude! This dog. He was.
You don't want to mess with any dog named Zeus.
No. I mean, he even had the Z in. No, I'm just kidding.
That would have been all right. I mean, there's a lot of them you could go with. I just immediately come to mind that double play that ended the inning in a big 8th inning spot where the game was still pretty much in doubt versus Paducah, and at that point the division title was in doubt, and the reaction from the dugout and my reaction just watching it take place, a big time double play. Torres with the snag fires it over to second behind the runner in time for out number, and it was it was a big spot. The dugout erupts, and you kind of felt like they were possibly going to go ahead and win the division at that point. It was pretty good. Bernie's Barbecue is a close second for me. It's just this big belly over here. Is sponsored by Bernie's Barbecue's nachos all season long.
Pork nachos,
I will literally know that I'm doing a River Dogs game that night, and I'm thinking, I'm not even going to eat, dude. I'm going to hold up and get some of these nachos because when they get the third out, I get the commercial as fast as I can so I can shovel as much in my mouth before we go back on the air. And so that's a big shout out to Schuler and Bernie's Barbecue for supporting all year long. And I think it's been a big force in helping the success of the Dogs.
Another pretty good memory I have from the River Dogs regular season is this.
Bring up the Bernie's Barbecue full count, 3 balls, 2 strikes. That one's hit.
Right at you. Catch it.
Where did it hit at? No, I was done. My favorite player, I believe, it's Danny Torres.
Yeah.
Dude, he is a magician at the shortstop. Like I'm not a baseball connoisseur by any stretch of the imaginations, but it's almost magical, some of the stuff he pulls out.
My favorite thing when I go to a major league game is to watch how simple, tough plays look to these guys. Like tough ground balls on the infield at shortstop. I mean, it might take a bad hop. He'll catch it and fire it over to first in time to get a speedy runner. Torres has that.
Oh, man.
Where I watch the game and I'm like, that's just smooth as silk. Like, it just looks. And then Sanders at second, the double play combination. I mean, it's legit.
I think with Torres and what he does at shortstop, like either you can do that or you can't. Obviously, it takes a lot of hard work and repetitions, and I'm sure Torres has been through the grind. But I don't think everybody can do that.
You have to have a certain level of hand-eye coordination even going into playing baseball to get to that level.
Sure,
and to be able to do it on that turf field.
Oh,
man. Don't get me wrong. Anybody, you could put a major league shortstop out there, and they're going to bobble a few of them because that turf infield is just nasty.
You look at the turf infield, and then you look at the rough. So, like, if it goes back too far and you have to get into the rough, that'll mess up anybody.
And then how about Cam Curry? I don't know if they give away an MVP award in the OVL, but if if they give away an OVL MVP and it's not the Cam Curry, then it's to the wrong person. 305 batting average, 406 on base percentage, 803 OPS, 3 home runs, 32 RBIs, 27 runs scored, 21 base on balls. And then you switch over to his pitching. That's just at the plate. Then you switch over to his pitching. 39.1 innings pitched. 6 wins on the season. 6 saves on the season. And an ERA of under 1. .915. 41
ERA
Ks.
of under 1 with that many innings pitched is
That's
phenomenal.
ridiculous.
Somebody better get the man a plaque.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
come on now.
That's pretty solid. And like I say, to do it at the plate, at the high, he's almost on base 50% of the time that he comes up to bat, and then to have those pitching stats as well. I mean, you talk about he's contributed in 12 ball games, 6 wins and 6 saves. That's 12 ball on the hill. Not to mention what he's done at the plate. I mean, I don't know how you get anybody. Like you said, it most valuable. I don't see how you can.
I know Vic said a guy won the Triple Crown. I think these are better numbers than the Triple Crown. The Triple Crown ain't got nothing to do with pitching.
Well, he can't pitch. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean, Triple Crown's impressive. Don't get me wrong, but the pitching and the batting is something else. And then, like I said, there's so many guys. Every time I go to write down the River Dogs lineup 1 through 9, all those guys contribute. Every single one of them. I'm thinking. To have Bryce Walker batting in the 8 spot or the 7 spot is it's unreal.
Who leads the team in home runs with 7?
And then guys like Peterson that come off the bench and King and
that's what I say. Think about Najee King, who doesn't even play a lot, and all he does come up last night and just hits a home run. You know,
and
then becomes a superstar with.
Kumar 2 weeks left in the season to be able to continue to win.
Right.
I mean, and maintain what they've done. I mean, I said they wouldn't be able to replace him when he left. They haven't really replaced him necessarily, but they have. I mean, they haven't missed a beat. I mean, they haven't lost any steam. So, I think it's a good way to.
It's hard to describe with that because like
just
you
a team effort.
Yeah.
Like Vic said, we don't have a lot of guys that are just superstar Triple Crown at the plate. But the entire team is so good. We talked about it all year long. Their plate approach, unreal. I love watching. I'm a big Phillies fan. I watch all their games. When the Phillies come to the plate and they take a lot of pitches, that's when they're the best Phillies. If you watch a River Dogs game, they come up there and they are selective. You go look at the Game Changer and look at the walk stats. It's unreal. Throughout the entire order, you got so many guys that are taking walks, working full counts, and that kind of thing. Combined with the pitching that they have is the reason why they're the best team.
Speaking of that Game Changer app, I'm in love because you get all the up-to-date stats. You get, who's on base, all that. We're getting a Game Changer sponsor for baseball season next year.
Oh,
and these stats going to be brought to you by your business. So if you're watching this and you own a business, keep that in mind, okay? Because that's going to happen.
We talked about that during baseball season. Game Changer for high school season will change the game.
It changes
for us,
the game
and for softball and baseball because baseball and softball. That's what powers the game is the numbers. I mean, if you're a baseball fan, you're a numbers guy.
And you don't have to be like the burglar, like in the house, like sneaking around trying to grab stats.
Dude, it was brutal for me this year trying to get those kids' numbers.
Speaking of numbers, you were talking about the base on ball numbers for the Dogs. Listen to some of these total base on balls for the season, and it's just 40 games, so keep that in mind. 26 base on balls for Peterson, 21 for Curry, 32 for Schuler, 39 for Danny Torres, 20 for Dion, 22 for Daly, 28 for Stevens, 17 for Kumar, played like half a season, 35 for Sanders, 30 for Walker, 12 for Barry, 15 for King. That is insane.
That's crazy,
That's what
man.
I'm saying. The plate approach is it. That's where the money is in the plate approach.
Wow.
I mean, you're not going up there and hacking at the first pitch, and taking, you get the pitch you want when you're selective. If you can work a full count, the pitcher's going to try not to walk you. So you're going to get a pitch to hit lots of times, and lots of times the Dogs do. Obviously, that's why they're the best team in the league, and we'll have it for you tomorrow night as the Dogs take on Muhlenberg, first round of the OVL playoffs, as they start their march toward the OVL championship, and they already won the regular season crown, looking for the postseason crown now.
That's right. Both of them.
Yeah, just take them both.
Be greedy with it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, this team, they're the best team in OVL. They just got to go finish it off now.
Yeah, it's cool, man, because normally this time of year, baseball's, the ship is sailed.
Oh, yeah.
We've left it in the past. It's just, and I'm a baseball guy. I love baseball.
We've never talked about it this late.
Yeah,
we've never.
It's really been fun. I mean, it's awesome to be a part of something and have fun while you're doing it. You don't feel like you're just grinding it out, having to go, we got to go call these games, or to get excited to go to the park and look forward to going and watching it all day. And it's been a lot of fun.
I think it's safe to say I'm the least baseball person in this room right now, and I've had a blast. I mean, I can't thank them enough for allowing us to be a part of this journey because, at the end of it, I would hate to have missed that ride because it's been one heck of a ride.
It has, and the proof's in the pudding. Just come look at the butts in the seats. I mean, I think they've probably beat the Oilers' attendance from last year, probably 20-1.
They may have beat it last night, just from last night's game for the combined Oilers.
I'm saying, you talk about just singular games. You talk about last night. You talk about KSR night. You talk about just a handful, probably the game versus Henderson a couple weeks ago.
First Muhlenberg
beat
game.
It probably in one night.
I won't give away the exact numbers, but I will say this, and you're right. The River Dogs have quadrupled the attendance, the average daily attendance, average game attendance from last year.
And think about that. If they could quadruple the attendance from what they did this year, next year, and it just continues to grow. You look at the promotions that they've had, and I think sponsors, obviously, we can attest to this. Sponsors take note when you start to grow. I mean, there's no question about it. When you start to grow, they want to get on board. So next season, as more sponsors come on board, they take note to what happened this year. I think it's just going to be a great thing for Owensboro, and it's going to continue to grow. And what I really like about it is, even though great pro teams, minor league affiliate, whatever, I like the college aspect. I do. I like bringing in the kids that are college players. They play the game the right way, and they get after it. It's a high-quality game, and you get to see kids from all over the nation. It's awesome.
A couple of these guys are going to make money here in a couple of years.
Oh, yeah. You'll see them, and you'll
they'll be in the minor leagues.
Some of these kids in the minor leagues. I truly believe it. There's no question you'll see some of them. But we'll have it for you tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Anybody got anything else?
Man, no, it's having a great time. And if you got to jump on this trivia train if you're not doing it already, man. Free stuff's going to be given away, and don't miss your opportunity to get a Blizzard here pretty soon, and then obviously gift cards down the road.
That's at YouTube. Go to YouTube. Homers Radio YouTube. Answer the question, subscribe. We need subscribers. We're calling on our fans to subscribe and build this video thing a little bit. HomersRadio.com as well every day.
Follow at Homers Radio on Twitter, Instagram. Find us on Facebook, Stephen, Brandon Clark, HomersRadio.com, and YouTube. Go Royal Style.